And good morning, 21 minutes after 7 o'clock. Joining us in studio this morning is John from Oasis Computers. How are you doing this morning?
Doing good. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, John.
By the way,
Hello.
I have his headphones on, so the disembodied voice of Mr. Mike Winters might come in every now and again just to ask you a question or to press Control Alt Delete or something.
Morning, John.
Good morning. How are you? I hear you have your problems.
Yeah, that's problems.
Well,
He's married, so the problems
Those are the mental.
the problems go a lot deeper.
Not what we were talking about. But I hope everything is good and going well.
Thank you, John. Yes, we're holding down the fort.
I actually asked him about the situation that you're in, Mike, and he suggested that you go ahead and turn the unit off and then on again. That might help. Just a suggestion.
All
Have you tried that?
And I tried plugging it in too.
Oh,
That helps too in general. Yes. Or put the battery in.
Yes.
well, John is hard at work. Obviously, we've been. It's been an interesting time. Kind of, every day we take it as day at a time. But you guys have been hard at work at Oasis, making sure that folks have the computers that are going to keep them functioning in this pandemic era.
Yes, we try to keep them running. We try to keep them going, and so far so good.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of something that's interesting. I was chatting with John off the air. You drive down the streets of Roswell and you see just 67 now hiring signs. We need people. We can't open our doors unless we have a couple of people. That's one of those problems that Oasis Computers doesn't face.
Not at this point. No, we. I guess more and more people use different equipment and whatever, and the computers are getting less. I guess less in use. So
yeah.
That reduces the need for more help, I guess, especially since we don't do the phones no more.
Right.
I just don't have the time for it.
So you've kind of pivoted your focus a little bit to just computers.
Back to where we started.
There you go.
Just computers, just trying to keep them running and fixing it. I like it. I'm pretty good at it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So not for me to say maybe, but
And you guys are kind of the only game in town too, as far as like getting stuff fixed, getting stuff repaired. You're the ones.
right on the stuff that we do, fixing computers for small business and home users. That there's not much competition at the moment.
What are you finding the most repairs coming up? Like what things are you finding that you're dealing with the most?
These days, messed up computers, people infecting themselves, people
okay.
Not knowing how to operate it.
That's
But
lonely times.
lost passwords is
Right.
really something. It's really aggravating. Or
It's lonely times. People go to the darkest parts of the internet and come up with things.
That's right.
that's
Yes.
not where you lose your password. That's supposed to be in your password book, and you're supposed to know it. But the problem is that the customers that come in the store with that don't know how important it is to have the password. It's been how do I put it? It's been escalating as to you need this. It's more secure. Now you have a second option. Your phone rings before you tie in. And I don't think that the general public has caught up that needs to be done. And you need to know that. Nobody else can tell you. That's the whole idea.
Right. Yeah, I've actually run into a couple of stories over the last couple of months of people who had accounts with Bitcoin or Dogecoin or whatever in them, and they couldn't access these hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin they had because they can't remember their password.
You're still doing the Leo Laporte show, right?
Yeah, we are.
Leo Laporte lost his password
Did he
for a
really?
Bitcoin. So, I mean, it used to be kind of that, oh, you're stupid. But I see so many people that are not stupid, that are even in the business, like Leo, and he lost it too.
You see, like, the random password generators, like Google will randomly generate you a
Right.
password. And it's always like a percentage sign and like 15 different symbols. Your mindset is, I'm not going to remember that. I'll just put it in the queue and Google will remember it for me. Right. But that doesn't always work.
Well, if you have a password manager that you're dedicated with, before Google started pushing this harder and Microsoft Edge also, if you pay for it, you know what you have. You can get access to it.
Sure.
And as long as the PlayStation business works. The only thing not to forget at that point is the master password. Nobody knows that. If they do know it, you shouldn't go with them. If you can call tech support and say, what's my master password, that's not what you want.
Right.
You need to remember that one complicated password, and Google Chrome has had it built in for a long time, but in the beginning you could just look in the computer. If you had access to a computer, you could sit in front of it, you could see all the passwords. If you had remote access to it, you could see all the passwords.
Sure.
They're working on that, making that a little safer, and just lately, last year or so, we're starting to think that maybe it's better to save the passwords in Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge,
right,
because you didn't forget them. I've helped many people because I looked through their Google account with the passwords and finding the password that they forgot.
right.
So, but it's not necessarily a good idea to have it there, but if you can't get in, that's not good either. So
It's a catch-22. It's like, yeah, sure, they have access to it just as easily as you do, but if you forget the password, you don't have access
right.
either,
Right.
so.
Passwords don't work is what the problem is. And then on top of that, as it's sneaking up on us with more security, we need to be more secure, more secure. Many people have the mindset still of, well, I don't care, that's not important to me. But it gets important later on. You know, like, look at email. You were communicating with whatever. You got some, whatever you bought, and it sent you an email. You talk to somebody, send you an email, whatever. Now we get emails from the state, from the government, from everywhere.
Right.
And sometimes you need to have that email to figure out what you did, what you paid, where you paid it, whatever. And if you can't get into it, it's becoming a big problem.
It is. And, you know, I've talked to a lot of people that have, like, 16, 17 different email accounts, one's for business, one's for personal use. And yeah, the keeping track of passwords has become an issue. But also, I mean, the ability to access these different accounts, these different platforms has also become an issue. I've noticed almost a move towards like a uniform design, it would seem, like with a lot of these different apps, with a lot of these different programs, where the way they're designing them is kind of more uniform to where every program functions the same, essentially.
Yeah, well, one of the big, you touched on something there. One of the biggest problems that I see is the too many options to do the same thing, really.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if you social media, one's on Facebook and then go down the list. How many are there? 20, 30, whatever now? You got to try this one. I'm on this one. You're on that one. We don't communicate.
Right.
Too many options to do the same thing. Windows itself is really bad with that. You know, you have 5 different ways of accomplishing the same thing, and then you get mixed up and say, why does it not work? Because you go off on the one side and forget about the other one. Somebody else tries to tell you how to do it, and you go like, no, that can't be true.
And I feel like I already know the answer to this question, but which do you find is easier to work with? Your Windows PCs or your Apples?
Apple is easier mainly because they are, how do I put it, more precise, more picky. Give me a good word for being picky.
Sure.
Whatever it is. They're much more picky in having it function the same way, the same direction, the same whatever. They really try hard to get that done. In general, there is only really, for the end user, there's many different ways of handling it too, but what the end user deals with is really kind of one way, very streamlined, very similar. And if you stay in the Apple world, everything works together real well.
It's more uniform.
But you don't have everything. You can't do everything. You are not as free. You are, kind of...
you can't get into the inner machinations of things.
Right. You can't... you get stuck in their world and can't get out, and that's not good either.
Sure.
On the PC side, it's you can do anything you want if you study up on it, know enough about it. But it's there's too many different options.
That's the problem with and I have an Android. I use Windows PCs almost exclusively, and I've always loved that because it is, you have that ability to kind of build your own adventure, so to speak.
Right.
Whereas with Apple, you're kind of going down that Apple path. The danger is when you're building your own adventure, you could welcome in all kinds of dragons from all sorts of different areas that you weren't expecting. That's the scary part.
Another part of the problem seems to be damn, I lost my thought there.
with as far as like with Windows PCs and as far as like their ability to kind of do everything and kind of their ability to get into the inner machinations and
the arrogance of the big companies maybe is just what I was looking for. I kind of lost my thought there, but we just on the Leo Laporte show, Steve Gibson. I just listened to his show yesterday, and he was ranting and raving about Microsoft, how they don't fix stuff internally. Apparently, this is with the print spooler. The print spooler has had lots of trouble for the last 25 years.
Ah.
But we didn't know about it. Some we did, some we didn't. And now these hackers that hack into everything have used taken advantage of these issues that they have so they can break into the Colonial Pipeline and whatever you got out there, the hospitals and whatever. And this last one that he was talking about yesterday was they were made aware of it by some guy that is into this stuff, trying to figure out where it goes wrong. Bounty hunter for you get paid sometimes for it. But anyway, he notified in December Microsoft there was a problem in it. I'm not a programmer. I fix computers, but I don't program.
Sure.
So I don't know how hard it is to fix that problem. But according to Steve Gibson, he said just hire one guy, a good programmer. He can get it fixed in a little bit. Shouldn't be a big problem. Put some people on it. You guys got enough money, is what he was saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
So get it done. And they just didn't. And I think 2 to 4 weeks ago, somewhere is what he said, there was taken advantage of that flaw. And Microsoft said, oh, God, we got to scramble to fix this. They had 8 months to fix it, and they did not.
Right.
I'm not sure.
And that's not an isolated incident. I've heard that happen
that keeps coming
many
over
times.
and over. Microsoft, it just doesn't, you see them make new stuff, new Windows, and everybody goes like, can I use this? Why is it changed again? And everybody's complaining about that. Stop doing that, and for a couple of years, just fix every problem in it so it's more reliable. I think I'm starting to compare it with what I've heard so far with cars. You got a car that has a defect in it, Pinto with its gas tank exploding, whatever. They come and go all the time. The government has oversight and then goes to the company and says, you need to fix this. They don't fix it, they get fined. If it causes too much problem, they get fined or they get sued by the end user for having a defective car. What was built in, not defective because something broke on it, whatever.
Right.
But it was avoidable. And I think that Microsoft, if you ever read through their agreement, you got to click yes on to get it going. They are not liable for nothing. Here is the crap software, and hope it works for you.
Yep, we're giving you...
And make the most out of it. And then you find that there's a problem with it. You ask them to fix it. They don't.
Did you read your end-user license agreement, sir?
Yeah, we're not liable for that. That needs to change. I think that, it needs to hurt for a company like Microsoft to have this problem because the whole world is paying through the nose for it.
I agree. Now, there is the third option. I mean, a lot of people will say if you know what you're doing, if you sort of have a bit of a knowledge of programming, a bit of a knowledge of how the operating systems work, Linux-based PCs are the way to go. A lot of people say that Linux is the operating system for the folks that just want to avoid all the problems.
Yeah, but
you got to know what you're doing is the problem.
Steve Gibson addressed it yesterday, too. Leo Laporte was asking Steve, it's like, but you're still using Windows, right? And they were talking about go to Linux, whatever. Yes, the world has built up on Windows, unfortunately. You can't just change for it. If you need your QuickBooks, for instance, in Linux, now you need to change. You need to find out what it is.
Right.
There is no help in Windows, but there's absolutely no help in Linux. You have to go to forums to talk to people, whatever. You have to be smart to use it and not to call anybody stupid because this stuff is very complicated to use. Microsoft has made it, the one thing they did do is made it easy to use it. So everybody's using it, but this easy to use, nobody understands how it works. Right. If you click on start and my program and whatever works fine, but I've seen in the past, lately I haven't seen this because people are smarter now than that, but that an icon on the screen got moved from the top corner to the bottom corner, and I got a call, I can't run it.
I don't know what
gone.
I'm supposed to do.
And I just click on it, start it up, and say, how did you do that? It's over here.
So if you ever worked in radio, then this is one of those things where when you have this problem where like you can't function, you can't even go on the air, nothing's working, The engineer will inevitably always come in, look at your board, press one button,
Right.
look at you, and then walk out. And everything works fine.
Right. Why didn't you know
happens to Sean
that?
a lot, by the way.
Do what?
That happens to Sean a lot, by the way.
Shut up, Mike. It's happened more often than I like to admit. It's for doggone sure.
Well, it's complicated. There's a lot of stuff there. I once in a while compare it with the microwave. What do you want? I want a heat of popcorn. Okay, there's a button on it that says popcorn. Put a popcorn bag in it, push the button, done. You also can buy a microwave that has a big book with it and 20 million options and whatever. If you just want to make some popcorn, that one may not be good for you because you either burn it or it doesn't get done or whatever because of the options you have. That's part of the problem we have. We need to
get the machine for the job that you want to get done.
And Linux is, at this point, not it either. And it's not really any safe. They all have the same problems. But on Linux, it's open source. Anybody can look at the code and make a change or recommend a change or whatever. Whereas in Windows, it's you can't see what's under the hood. That problem that needs to be fixed in the print spooler, nobody can fix it because they have that locked up. It's compiled, it's whatever, and you don't know.
Sure.
So that's where problem comes in. But everybody uses it. So I think as a society, we need to knock on Microsoft and Google's door and say, guys, if there is a problem not fixed within 3 months, not anything done, we got to take some action, whatever that amounts to. I don't know, but these folks need to be made aware of that they need to change. And with their attitude, it seems like it needs to hurt them.
It's one of those situations where a company is too big to fail, so to speak. They're too
that
big
comes
for their
to mind.
britches, essentially.
Yeah, it's too big to. Yes, you're right, and that's why they get away with it because, what else can happen? What else? Well, stop. Don't go forward for a little bit. I mean, if the coronavirus has taught us anything, everything is on hold.
Right.
We can put Windows on hold. It just needs to get better more. People are barely caught up with what came out 6-7 years ago.
Right. And it's irritating because especially in our business, when Windows wants to update, it confounds our whole system. When Windows decides, they're going to update, all of a sudden, now we have to go in and reset everything to make sure that our transfers are happening.
What's the problem there? If you're on the radio show and Windows just decides to reboot on its own, you can't do your radio show, that's a problem?
It certainly comes up every now and again, yes.
Yes, I know the same feeling. And then lately it seems like every day I have to fix, adjust, redo something. I never had to reboot my phone. I don't know what I added to it or if it's the phone or whatever, but lately I wear the headset, the bone-conducting one, so I can hear what's around me. It works great. But the phone rings, I answer it, and it rings through my headset. But when the guy starts talking on the other end of the line, I can't hear him.
Right.
Because now he's stuck in the phone. I need to put my phone to my ear or change it. Then I tried to turn the Bluetooth on. It don't work. Found a simple way to fix it. The first time it does that, reboot the phone. Then everything works fine again. Now we're back to Windows. If Windows don't work, reboot Windows. We don't have to do that much lately no more. But in the past, if you remember, it was, don't let it run overnight. If you do let it run overnight, maybe restart it in the morning so everything is fresh again. Otherwise, you run out of memory. It builds up memory problems and things like that.
Yeah, and half the time I just distinctly remember, it's turn the unit off at the end of the day and restart at the beginning of the day. That's a problem for someone like me who likes to keep programs open or have access to things.
The other thing, I've got a machine that just shows some cameras on it. It's just so I can see what's going on out there. It doesn't even record. That I gave up on that. It records sometimes, and then when you need it, you don't have it. Right. So worthless too. But that thing reboots, and then I have to start the cameras up. I move them around, put them in the right spot again. I'm good at it now, but the first couple of times, it's like, how did I have this now? And this is one of the complaints I have. But if I redo my machine or buy another one, it's all different, and I need to put it back together where I have it.
This is the way I'm used to doing it. It's like, I have to take 16 steps to get it done, but I'm used to it. I'll give you a prime example. My phone is so old and messed up right now that in order to get my phone, and I'm dealing with this today because it was dead when I woke up this morning. In order to get my phone to charge, I have to turn my phone off, plug it in, then turn it back on to get it to charge. Because for some reason it says that there's moisture in the USB port when there is none. But it's just reading it as such. So I have to turn my phone off, plug it in, then turn it back on, and then it will charge semi-normal.
Right.
But it's a whole MacGyver of but that's the thing is we as a society, as people, are just so used to just doing things the way that we know to do it that we'd rather take the 16 steps rather than trade it in, get something better that would just do it in one step. We're
It's
creatures of habit.
I get you. Well, I get your point. The equipment is used to get a job done. When I first started, a lot of it was hobbying. Oh, we like to do something. What can we do with it? Well, not much, whatever. So it runs into business. Business start using it. Smaller businesses, not big business. They had already some computers, there's mainframes, whatever. But so finally you come up with a spreadsheet or whatever it is you use and go like, this makes my life much easier.
Right.
And then, one day you wake up and say, well, we don't make that no more. You need to use this over here. Why can I use the old one? Why is it more features in it? I use Evernote and used it for 8 years, 7, 8 years, 9 years, a while. And lately they have been adding features to it, and I go like, oh God, no, I don't need those. It has a calendar in it. It has meeting capabilities. It has talking, communicating with other people in it. I just make notes in it. It's all I want. If it would do that now, I need to do 3 clicks to start a note up, whereas before I just started it.
It's all a product of a board meeting, a boardroom full of people saying, we need to figure out how our program can do more. We need to diversify what our program can do.
The Coke debacle comes back up to mind. We need to change our Coke because we need to improve and move forward with sales.
Yep.
We make the new Coke. Nobody buys it. Half a year later, it's like, maybe we should put the old Coke back in or something.
My theory behind the whole Coke thing is that they did that on purpose. They intentionally launched a product that was close to the taste of Pepsi just so they could remind their fan base, it's not as good as you think it is. And then we're going to launch Coca-Cola Classic to give you the flavor that you've been missing. See,
Never thought of it that way,
genius.
But in my lifespan so far, I keep finding that they screw up, to put it bluntly, the stuff you have and like, and make it different. Food needs to be different. And the other thing I don't get, there must be an end to it. More sales, more income, more. There is a limit to that. If you sell everybody a computer and they're all still good, well, yeah, we can make them artificially obsolete, what I think Windows 11 is going to do. So we need to buy a new one. What a waste. Why? I mean, we got now 15-year-old computers that can still function good.
It's forced obsolescence. It's basically exactly what phones have been doing for years. That over the 3 or 4 versions of your phone ago, your battery will start degrading faster than normal because it's old.
Well, the battery. Why can't we just replace the battery? Why do we have to unglue the back off? Hopefully, don't break it. And then a laptop, same thing. The batteries are starting to move inside.
I remember.
Why?
I distinctly remember being able to take the battery off of my phone.
You just pull it out the back, and then you buy a new one if it's not working. If your machine locks up, whatever, you can pull the battery out and unplug it, and power is completely gone. But now you have to be careful when you open them up. Is it still running because the battery's inside?
Did I avoid the warranty because I broke the sticker? It's all
the
those things.
Lenovo now has a tendency to, when you open the lid up, it comes on like a Chromebook.
Right.
Great and wonderful until you have to work on it. I open it up and I start messing inside, and it's like, wait a minute, the fan is turning. It came back on. Just so many things.
And there's no way to get around that. You can't. Normally, you could disconnect the battery to avoid something like that, but that's not.
And why
an
does it
now.
need to be pretty so I can't hold on to it? A little rubbery wouldn't be better. You think?
Yeah, but
why does it need to go all the way to the edge?
Exactly.
Every time
of super breakable glass. I mean, that's the thing. It's all that forced obsolescence, so that you have to get another one.
They want you to buy one every year, right?
It's brilliant
Seems to be.
marketing. I mean, I'll give them that.
Yeah, but it ruins the world. Yes.
I think in the computer world, though, that's how they make their money. I mean, I remember my first computer, and it was one of those Gateway computers.
Yep.
Remember Bay Gateway?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they made those so you couldn't upgrade them without basically swapping out the motherboards. They built them with the intent of it becoming obsolete and getting you to buy the newer model.
Right.
Because I remember getting one, and then later I was like, hey, can we upgrade the hard drive? And a friend of mine was like, nope, they They only have slots for this and that, and
Well,
very proprietized.
On the other end, 20 years ago or so, when Gateway was good, your computer was older than 5 years, and somebody would bring it in the store and it's like, why are you using this old thing? You can do so much better. But that has changed. Technology was moving forward at a pace that the computer was indeed obsolete because it can do so much more. Right. Not that what you were doing with it was fine on the old one, maybe. But now we got computers 15 years old, still run Windows 10, still run all the programs on it. It's no reason to not use them anymore if they're still functioning properly.
Absolutely. And if you have a computer like that and you want it to function properly, if it's not functioning properly, bring it over to John at Oasis Computers.
Right. We'll let you know if we can fix it, want to fix it, or should fix it, and fix it if we need to.
And if not, they've got an option for you.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Have you been getting a lot of requests for the upgrading to the solid-state hard drives?
It's still running like hotcakes, and every one that I propose it to. Almost goes for it. Every once in a while, somebody says no or doesn't want to go with it, whatever. But 99 out of 100 will put it in for the price that it takes and go like, oh, great. And when they come back, when they pick it up, or sometimes they just pick it up and then they tell me later, it's like, wow, that made a difference, man. And that's the one thing these days that's wonderful. Now Windows 11 is coming out. And Windows 11 wants to make any machine that's like older than, well, even some brand new ones right now. They need to have supposedly the, what is it called, TPM module in it, trusted TMP module platform in it. If it doesn't have it, now part of it is security, I guess. But if it doesn't have it, Windows 11 wouldn't run, meaning that Windows 10 will run for another 4 or 5 years and then it's obsolete. So then potentially good full working machine would not run Windows 11. Not going to Windows 11 is more insecure, staying on the old platform. And then you can throw your computer away. That's perfectly good and plenty powerful enough, better than some new ones.
So if I run my computer on, just pick one operating system as an example, 98 second edition, is that going to be obsolete? Like in a couple of years, am I not going to be able to use my 98 second edition computer?
No, you can still use it, but it is obsolete, and you shouldn't.
You can't do nothing with it.
The problem is that
I could still play Worms Armageddon on it, right?
Well, whatever you could use it for at the time will still work fine, but anything new may not work right.
Regular solitaire. I can play.
Hey, that's the point you're making there. There's so many people come in and say, "Where's the old solitaire, the simple one? I loved it," and it's not there no more.
Right. It's funny, too, because
I just want to play solitaire.
If you look at some of the programs that were added on early Windows PCs, they were strictly added to, like, show you the new features of the operating system.
Right. Can do this, it can do this,
so
and whatever.
Here's a game to show you, it can double-click, and you can do... It's like, that's not necessary anymore, so they took solitaire away from us. But some people just like to play solitaire.
Well, the solitaire's still in it,
right?
But it's now under the apps that come from the App Store, and it's fancy, and it does more, and it looks fancier and whatever. But the regular old little card game, that's what people want to play. And
green screen, I always used to change the backgrounds of the cards to the Magician, where the card would pop out of his sleeve every now and again.
Oh,
it was like the animated one.
Right.
So, but we've grown up a bit. Technology's grown up a bit, obviously. But it's a bygone era, and people are we get hooked on a certain way of doing things.
It will get better. Everything is getting better, but some ways we get to it is kind of questionable.
There you go. Now, if folks need repairs, if folks have questions, they just want to chat with you, maybe get some advice. How do they reach out to you?
Well, the best way is to stop by the store, and then, of course, we're open these days to accommodate everything and to make everything work from 8 till 1, Monday through Friday. We do by special appointment in the afternoon. Give us a call. Texting works a little bit, but not too great. Sending an email, it may take 1 or 2 days before I get to it.
Sure.
If you need help, just call on the phone. And please, the folks that keep calling that do baloney calls, stop calling.
Yeah,
but that everybody has that problem. That's another thing these days.
We're all busy people. Let's not waste time on phones. But
I don't talk baloney. I talk turkey.
Ooh, okay, whatever works for you
with your fancy needs. So there you go. Oasis Computers always there to help out when you need them. 8 to 1, Monday through Friday. You can. What's the phone number?
575-625-9141.
There you go.
And
65 down.
1703 North Garden Avenue. Don't confuse it with Atkinson.
Yes.
Garden, right behind the Wool Bowl Stadium.
That's right. It's easy to miss, but you're definitely going to find the place if you are in need of repairs. Well, John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate having you, and we'll see you back here next time.
Okay, very good. Hope
Thanks.
everything gets better.
Breathing,
John.
and we're getting through it. It's day by day. 9 minutes away from 8 o'clock. Let's